What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll take a quick peek over here at the Bitcoin price chart. I'm getting this video out a little bit later today. I've been busy all morning watching John Deaton over here on the PBD podcast with Patrick Bet David. And John did a phenomenal job at explaining what's going on with the XRP and the SEC lawsuit and Ripple and all that stuff. And they talked about a variety of things. This thing went on for 2 hours. I did share it over here on my Twitter this morning. Hopefully some people got an opportunity to watch that live. If not, you can go to my Twitter and click on the link. There it is. You can watch the rewatch of that live stream. But that's what I've been up to all morning. So I'm getting a pretty late start here on this video. So I'm going to keep it pretty brief. In regards to the price action over here in the cryptocurrency market, you guys kind of know what my thought process is on it right now. I think the most likely thing to happen with Bitcoin for me over the course of the next days or weeks, and I don't know how long it's going to take out, but I really think we're just waddling around in here, and eventually there's going to be some type of pop up here that takes it back up into $56,000, $57,000, $58,000 for Bitcoin before the downtrend does continue to resume for Bitcoin. But until that point, price action, there's just not much to talk about for Bitcoin. Of course, at the exact same time, as you can see on the right side of the screen, the altcoins are taking a punishment as it's a down day for Bitcoin being down almost $1,500. But today we are supposed to hear from the Federal Reserve. And so, whether or not they're going to be increasing interest rates anytime soon or what's going to be happening with quantitative easing, there's a lot of worry out there that we're going to see something happen here with the Federal Reserve because of inflation and that they're going to have to find a way to combat it. Now, they're backed into a pretty big corner. Yesterday, we were talking about inflation. We're talking about the Dow Jones Industrial Average. We're talking about the NASDAQ, the S&P 500. Everything's reaching out to these 4.236 extensions, and they've already done everything. The Federal Reserve, lowered interest rates to zero, quantitative easing like crazy, and printed this massive bubble, so they don't have these tools to use in a recession if one were to come. And so there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now. And the irony of this is, here's going to be this announcement today that comes from the Federal Reserve. And then what happened yesterday? What was one of the things we were talking about in what would be a positive thing to signal that more inflation could be coming down the pike is if Congress could increase the debt ceiling or the debt limit, which they did yesterday, right? So they voted to increase the debt ceiling by $2.5 trillion. Hey, that's a great thing, right? For the people who want inflation and who want inflation hedge assets to do well. But as we can see, Wall Street is not exactly happy about it ahead of time. Because is that little increase in the debt ceiling going to be able to combat interest rate increases? A reduction in asset purchases by the Federal Reserve. While these big massive bubbles exist over here in the stock market for the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the NASDAQ. And what's interesting is heading into this meeting with the Fed, where they're going to tell us, what are they going to say? They say, we're going to unwind our balance sheet, or are they going to say, don't worry, we're not going to do anything different. We're going to keep buying everything. When we look at the inflation hedge assets, they're all signaling bad news. Like you look at what's happening with silver here, it's at its low. It's still kind of holding it right now. But if I'm a betting man, and I am a betting man, it's that it's not going to hold. Is that silver is going to go deeper. And we can see that platinum has already done it as well. It already took out the low that was set back there in September. And so while this gives a signal for more inflation to come, metals sure aren't showing that. And for me with Bitcoin, my best guess is out here is that eventually we will see these prices down in here before a real retrace for Bitcoin can commence. My expectations on how I could imagine that playing out, of course, is the, continuation of just grinding sideways, eventually rolling back up to back test this breakdown level that we had. Then we eventually go in there and there's a retracement. Or if it even does just kind of go straight down into that level before it finally goes into retracements. What does that tell you specifically about this level? It says that we're just really kind of hanging out in no man's land if that's true and if I'm right. And then you can look to sentiment and you can say, well, what does sentiment believe is going to happen in here? And I know I'm always talking about, I think Bitcoin's in a bear market. I am drawing all my structures on what a bear market would look like. It's pretty much what my videos have been about for the last week and a half. But that's not the overwhelming sentiment of the entire cryptocurrency market. The vast majority of people still believe that Bitcoin's going to go on and set new all-time highs, while a lot of people are scared. And it's kind of of a really mixed bag right now. And then look to the news narratives. The news narratives are mixed bags as well. Congress is going to increase the debt limit, which is positive for those who want inflation and want inflation hedge assets to do well. And then at the same time, there's this big fear of the Fed being backed into a corner, and are they going to have to increase interest rates? And if they increase interest rates, that's going to create a higher demand for cash, while all these assets and all these indexes like the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, they're all at these 4.236 extensions. And if there's an increase in interest rates, then there becomes an incentive to move to cash. And again, it's mixed because here we go, the Congress just passed the $2.5 trillion increase in the debt ceiling. So you don't have a clear narrative of what you're supposed to feel right now. Are you supposed to be in extreme fear that the markets are going to crash? Are you supposed to be extremely optimistic that the markets are going to rise? Because you have different sets of narratives and different sets of beliefs right now. And that's why I still believe that Bitcoin's price is kind of just hanging out in a no man's land right now. And I think extreme greed resides up in here and extreme fear resides down in here. And we're just right in the middle of it, and most people don't know what to do. And so, as we sit here patiently waiting for the market to give us a more clearer picture, I'm just going to sit back and do the exact same thing. I'm going to see what ends up happening with this Federal Reserve. What is the general perception of the public supposed to be? Is everybody supposed to be extremely fearful? Is everybody supposed to be extremely excited? And has the price of the market shifted to a boundary? Because I just don't think we're at one. I think we're actually just sitting in the middle of two bigger boundaries. And for that, I don't want to say too many things that will step on my toes or, give a different perception of what I really think. I mean, that's pretty much the clear picture of what I think. My overwhelming viewpoint of Bitcoin right now is that it's in a bigger bear market, and trying to figure out what are the range boundaries of how it's going to step down and when the big retrace is going to come in to give the other assets an opportunity to steal that market cap away. But until then, Bitcoin has still just been stuck after the big fall that happened at the beginning of December, and it's still just range bound in there. And so the real price action I'm looking for Bitcoin is to get back up into those mid 50s or go ahead and get to that lower range boundary so we can start retracing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch this Federal Reserve stuff. If there's big price action that comes out, I will put out a video tomorrow morning like I typically do, discussing if something significant happens in the market. But if the Bitcoin price and the cryptocurrency market is all still just stuck in this range that it's in right now, tomorrow, I'm going to take the day off. I'm going to go ahead and give myself a day of rest tomorrow on a Thursday, and that can free me up to have a day available on the weekend if something crazy happens over the weekend. But right now, we're going on 10 plus days of Bitcoin being stuck in this range. So we'll see what comes from the Fed. We'll see if that triggers any type of price action to finally come, if that triggers some type of sentiment shift within the market. If we get some significant price action that occurs, I'll put out a video tomorrow. If not, I'm going to take tomorrow off, and that'll free me up to be available one day on the weekend. I think we would all rather have that. I would rather be able to come on here if something crazy happens than sit here and repeat the same thing again tomorrow that we're still just stuck in the range boundary. And if you're looking for things to do throughout the day, I have some stuff shared over here on Twitter, and that's going to be the interview with John Deaton over there on Patrick Bet David's podcast. I also retweeted this yesterday from Danielle DiMartino Booth, and she gives you a very clear insight into what kind of situation the Federal Reserve is in right now. So you can check out my Twitter. I recommend watching that. This one is 20 minutes long. The one with John Deaton is about 2 hours. But if you need a quick summary of what's going on with the Fed and the situation of the economy currently right now, this gives you a pretty good insight. And then otherwise, I'll catch you guys either tomorrow or on Friday, depending on what the price action does. If Bitcoin is still just goofing off in here, then I'll catch you guys on Friday. But if this somehow triggers something to happen later today, then hey, I'll be here to report on it tomorrow morning. But otherwise, I want to thank you guys so much for watching today. If you're looking for something to do, of course, you can check out my website as well. I have a ton of videos on here. This is bcbacker.com. And this is a course I put together where I deep dive into the previous Bitcoin bull runs, the previous altcoin market cycles, tying them all together. I show you how this cryptocurrency market has worked in the past. I teach you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro so you can do your own charting. I talk about my personal exit plans in here, and I talk a lot about mathematics and percentages and why those are so important to me. I also did recently include my Ethereum Part 4 final update to my exit plan for Ethereum in here, and the Blockchain Backer exit plan Part 4 progress update with the most recent market update taking place down there on November 30th. and you can catch all of this educational content over here on bcbacker.com. You can follow me over here on Twitter at bcbacker to see all these things that I do share and retweet, and of course give you your live cattle futures updates. You're welcome. But otherwise, I want to thank you so much for watching my channel. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you could be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.